Hello, I am Mac, at least for a day. Today I will be doing a No Man's Sky YouTuber interview. I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'm really privileged because I get to interview a YouTuber I've been watching a really long time. I'm a big fan of his, and his name is JustJarrod. You there?
Yeah, I'm here, and thank you for having me. It's been a while, and I'm actually really glad to talk for the first time.
Great, awesome. I'm gonna geek out on you real quick here because I want to tell you kind of my story of how I started with No Man's Sky, and it's going to lead into how I started watching your channel. So when I never heard of No Man's Sky in the pre-launch phase. I never knew about it or anything. When I first heard of No Man's Sky, I had another space game. The first time I heard about it, someone commented on that game and said, better than No Man's Sky, and it was August of 2016, right after the game had come out. And so that was the first time I heard of No Man's Sky. I was like, what? What does he talk about? What's No Man's Sky? So I went to the PlayStation store, I typed in No Man's Sky, and the game, came up, and I watched the little trailer. It's the iconic rhino running through the forest trailer that everybody talks about. When I first saw that trailer, I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. What would you even do in that game? But then a few days later, I came into some money when I was at GameStop, and I was like, I'll just get No Man's Sky, see what it's like. So I bought it, and I loved it. It totally blew me away. I couldn't believe that I could explore entire planets, and there were no invisible walls and all this. So I really liked it, but of course, it was when the game first came out, 2016, in August, and of course the game was still pretty unfinished. There wasn't a whole lot of features, so although I really liked it, I wanted to find out if they were going to improve it or anything like that. And a friend of mine I was talking to about it said, yeah, they said they're supposed to be adding bases or something eventually. And so I was really excited. So I wanted to know more. So I started looking it up on YouTube. And at the time, I didn't really watch YouTube much. I didn't even know what subscribing was back then. And so I looked on YouTube, and of course, what I mainly found was the negative No Man's Sky videos, because the negative videos were all over the place back then, right after the launch. And so I just kept looking, and I was like, man, how can everybody hate this game when I love it? And eventually I came to your channel, JustJarrod. I'd finally found a positive No Man's Sky channel. And like I said, I'd never heard of subscribing before. I was like, man, how do I keep from losing track of this guy? It took forever to find someone who was positive about No Man's Sky. And so you may have been one of the first channels I ever subscribed to, or one of the first at least. And then there was a few other channels back then that were doing positive No Man's Sky videos. One was called Give It Thought. I don't know if you ever watched that channel. Give It Thought was kind of a video game news and discussion channel where he would just kind of talk about news and rumors about games, and he talked a lot about No Man's Sky and was fairly positive about it. Sadly, over a year ago, he just suddenly stopped doing videos, and his Twitter also went silent. His channel is still up, but he hasn't done anything in forever. And then the other one was Syrian Gaming. He was another one. Like, it was those three that I would cycle between. You, Give It Thought, and Syrian Gaming. And sadly, as you probably know, Syrian Gaming has also disappeared. His channel was deleted, and he hasn't responded to anybody since like the turn of the year, when we turned 2018 or something. But anyway, watching your channel really gave me hope that there were people out there that liked the game. And my fear was that since there was so much negativity, that the developers would say, oh, well, never mind, we're not going to update it after all because everybody hates the game. and because of your positivity, it gave me hope that maybe, just maybe, we could get through to the developers and keep them from not giving up. So I emailed Hello Games a lot, encouraging them, and that was about the extent of my support of Hello Games at the time. And then eventually I started my own channel to support the game. But anyway, watching your channel, JustJarrod, really gave me hope and kept me going in the dark times before the Foundation update. And I've kept watching your channel ever since. So that's my little life story and how it led me to your channel. So I'd like to give you a chance, Jared, to tell us what was it like, you know, when you first started covering No Man's Sky. You've been around longer than most No Man's Sky YouTubers, so I think you were around at the beginning. So kind of give us your story of what it's been like, how the viewership has changed, and so on, in your life as a No Man's Sky YouTuber.
Yeah, sure, I can go ahead and do that. Thank you for the kind words, by the way. It's really cool to hear that. I mean, yeah, so we'll start at the beginning. It's actually really cool that you didn't know about No Man's Sky at launch. That's actually, I find it pretty rare. Most times people are almost like me, where they had been waiting for it for so long. I did hear about No Man's Sky way back when they first announced it. I was in my living room. I was still in high school, and I was watching the Game Awards, or I can't remember when they first, Game Awards. So, and I remember sitting on my floor, and I saw the trailer, and I was so amazed because they were shipping it as just an exploration game. And that's all the trailer was about. And that's all I cared about, was something to explore. And then fast forward however many years, I kind of fell off because it'd been so long. I forgot about it. And then it came to the point where I can't remember where I saw like a video that reminded me of it, but I did have a YouTube channel. Before No Man's Sky coverage, I was just like a Let's Play channel. And hopefully you can't hear that outside my window. Apparently they're deciding to mow the lawns in
I didn't
my
hear
apartment complex. I was a Let's Play channel at first on YouTube because like my main goal was to make people laugh and share positivity. That was what I wanted to do. And then that eventually led into No Man's Sky because I would be at work, and at my first job there was a lot of gamers there, and I would try to talk about No Man's Sky and nobody knew anything about it. So I figured I'd start a YouTube channel or change my YouTube channel, and because Let's Plays on YouTube, Let's Players don't really get anywhere. You have to be super, super lucky. And I just wanted to share my passion for this game that I had 100%, dedicated to researching and looking up things like that. So I decided to switch my channel over to covering No Man's Sky. And obviously, I mean, the feedback from that was insane. I think I had like 50 subscribers as a Let's Player, and then 2 weeks into covering No Man's Sky, I hit 1,000 subscribers.
Wow. So
it was an insane jump. Definitely something I wasn't expecting. I just started YouTube off the whim. I've always watched YouTube on and off, but I just started it because I was like, hey, I used to stream and I wanted to have more control over like videos and editing. I never knew how to edit a video. I never knew how to make a thumbnail. I completely taught myself how to edit using Adobe Premiere Pro just by doing it over and over and over. Same with thumbnails, which I love making now. It's like a art form to me. I just love editing thumbnails. But so that led to No Man's Sky, and the 1,000 subscribers came out of nowhere, and it was so cool to have this community who liked this game. But it was very scary because it was like instant. It wasn't fame, but it was like instant attention to a game that I believed I knew everything about, but there was so much that we didn't know, so there was no videos to really make. except that's when the speculation came in. So I knew about Cobra TV, and I knew about Syrian Gaming, and yes, unfortunately, Syrian is, you know, wherever he is. We have not heard from him. We've tried to contact him, a lot of the other content creators, and he's just completely gone. Like you said, his channel's gone, which really sucks because I connected with Syrian early on. He's probably who I watched the most. We talked on Skype. We did a lot of collabs, community showcases for like screenshots when the game released and things like that. So I knew about Syrian and Cobra. I liked Cobra because his voice was really cool, like most people when they find him. And I like Syrian because he was pretty down to earth. I didn't know about anybody else. Eventually found out about Orbit, he's gone as well now as well. There's another YouTuber, his name was Stained J, who exploded from No Man's Sky, and then he fell off the face of the planet. But as I was making YouTube videos, you know, it got so much attention. You know, Cobra ended up commenting on one of my videos, which like freaked me out because it was so cool to see that. But I think it really hit me, like as far as community goes. Before the launch of the game, I had somebody message me on PlayStation, this older gentleman, and he said, it was about probably like a month or two into the coverage that I've done, because I think I covered the game, I started covering in February of the year it launched, so it's like 6 months, 5 months before the game launched. It launched in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
2016?
Yep,
so
August
like 5 months
2016.
before the game launched. Yeah. So I did, you know, quite a bit of coverage before launch of No Man's Sky. Definitely not as much as Cobra or Syrian. But I had a gentleman message me on PlayStation. And he told me, he said, you know, him and his wife have, you know, it's been hard for them to connect because his wife is going through like, you know, some problem, and that my videos about No Man's Sky were helping them kind of rekindle what they lost, and that was like something that really like took to me.
Wow.
Because I never expected any of that to ever come out of, you know, just making videos on No Man's Sky. So that really, and when I got that message, you know, I really knew that, hey, my videos are actually spreading positivity, and that's what I started this for. You know, I don't try to use a lot of profanity and things like that, and it's actually pretty hard, and you know, to kind of keep my channel a little bit civil. I do like to make a lot of funny videos here and there, where kind of things slip, but as a person, my personality, I like to make jokes so much. I'm never serious, so I've kind of built my channel up around being serious and being positive. So sometimes it's hard to kind of keep that. It's not fake. It's just I love to make jokes, and my channel kind of wasn't built around that, as far as No Man's Sky goes. But when I got that message, it was so cool, and you know, you talked about the launch of No Man's Sky. It was really sad when the game first launched as far as YouTube, because everybody was so excited for the game. You know, so many people were so excited, and it could have been this huge thing if No Man's Sky was successful at launch. They'd sold what, it was almost more copies than Uncharted 4 on PlayStation, which is insane, since Uncharted 4 is the last game in a really, really good series, a PlayStation exclusive. If it would have been successful, there would be so many people in this community, so many more people.
Yeah.
It exploded, and the fact that everybody was so excited, everybody was so positive. You know, Cobra's channel was great. Everybody was having a good time making content, and then the game release, it was just instant hate. And you know, I was happy the game was out. I just wanted an exploration game, and that's what it was for me. So I wasn't expecting tons of things. I mean, a lot of people were, because of what the developer said and things like that. But I'm not going to go into like them lying or whatever, whatever it may be, because I've had that conversation so many times now. But it was very unfortunate, because all this work, especially Cobra, I feel so bad for Cobra, because he had, it's like he put so much time before No Man's Sky launched into making content, so much time, more than anybody, and that to see it instantly like evaporate. I mean, he's got all these subscribers, which is great, but everybody just went from positivity to the opposite end of the spectrum, or hating on the game. No matter what video we made, there's always comments,
yeah.
you know, on everybody's videos, on Syrians, on even on Orbits, mine, Cobras, you know, always comments like, it's your fault. You know, it's your fault, it was overhyped. It's your fault, you talked about all the speculation and none of it came true. It's, you know, Sean Murray lied. This, that, and the other. You know, unsubscribing, No Man's Sky is terrible. And that didn't end for months.
Yeah.
You know, it kept going. And because it was popular. It was like a new trend to hate this game. It was, you know, they still say it's one of the biggest fails in gaming history. You know, articles that I read, you know, when they talk about the next update, they're like, that game that came out in 2016, that was, you know, one of the biggest fails in game development. And it was so popular to hate on it. 2016 was the year of drama on YouTube. And that's what was really a lot of drama channels got big, and even they were talking about how bad No Man's Sky was.
Yep.
And it's just an indie game, and it made this huge splash, but not in a good way, unfortunately. But I think really what drove, like you talk about views, you know, I totally, when I started this channel, never in any way, shape, or form, you know, did it for money. Of course, nobody does. Nobody starts out like that. You can't expect that, or you're not going to get anywhere. But views wise, the hate only the hate drove the community.
Yeah.
For both sides. So the positive side of the community, you know, they wanted to keep what was pure and what was still there, and what everybody, you know, who liked the game, they wanted to keep everybody together. I think that was almost like a thing. Everybody had like this togetherness where we all kind of stuck with it and just kind of hoped it would get better, and that the hate would, you know, slowly disappear. And then they had the other side, which was it was like haters and the people who loved the game were both watching all No Man's Sky videos because of the hate that it had. It was just so popular. So that's why everybody was watching the videos no matter what. Just to hate, because that's what the internet is a lot of the time nowadays. So it was such this weird thing, because I was happy. I was like, cool, we're getting views, we're building a community, yet the comments are just full of people hating on what I'm talking about. Or blaming me. Or, you know, and it's crazy when, you know, they blame Cobra, they blame me like we had any input. Like we've talked to Hello Games, you know, and that's another thing that's quite unfortunate, the fact that the hate completely made them not talk. And because of the hate, we've had 2 years of basically silence from them. I mean, we've had updates, which is fantastic, but to have, like, I've covered other indie games back when I, you know, changed the channel a bit to cover indie games, just talking to developers when, you know, they'll email me and be like, hey, thanks for covering our indie game. I'm glad you're, you know, excited for it. Do you want a key when it comes out? Just talking to them about like features is such a cool thing, and not to have that with Hello Games, it's just kind of a bummer.
Yep. So, and how did it change as the updates started to come out? I mean, obviously the hate has started to go down a bit. How did it improve? Did you start? Obviously, you started to get more positivity on your channel, right? As far as viewers.
You know, my positivity was always there. I definitely, in my lifestyles, I try to maintain a positive mental attitude no matter what. And I think definitely there was a point where I think it was just like silent, like there was no hate, and there was still people liking the game, but that was the point before the first update where nobody new was showing up. Right? It was people hated the game for forever, and then they finally left it alone for a bit, but nobody came new for the most part. There wasn't a lot of new players because it was just like this one community that we had all built, and then the hating, side of it, 80% of the people left, and that was just us hoping that we'd get some news, from Hello Games, because they didn't. It was like the game was terrible, or not terrible. The game came out, a lot of people didn't like it because they thought it was terrible, and then Hello Games just didn't say anything. So we had nothing to go off of. It's not like they were like, hey, don't worry, another update's going to come and give you some stuff. So it came to this process once again of speculation, but after the point of launch, at least we had something to play so we could make content on the actual game rather than just speculation videos, which was so cool to finally do content on something we could actually physically see, because all the content before was us just thinking what might be cool. So definitely it got better because we were actually playing the game, taking screenshots. Like I said, with me and Syrian, we were doing weekly community showcases, which started off super small because not a lot of people played. I mean, not tons of people played. There wasn't people taking screenshots all the time and sending them in. So we had like maybe 20 screenshots per video, and we did this weekly thing, which was really cool. And I think just playing the game and sharing experiences, everybody who covered the game, who stuck with it, I think eventually it led us down a more positive path for No Man's Sky as far as hope for the future. And then when we got that first update announcement, I love their update. Their update situation is just like, hey, guess what? Here's an update. It's out tomorrow. Like, that's so cool. Like, that, I think everybody freaks out. They're like, what? It's out tomorrow. And the first update was great. All the updates have been fantastic, and that's almost what's really cool about the game is every update brings in new people. You always hear stories of people coming in for base building. When they hear about base building, they're like, wow, that's really sweet. Because Subnautica is a big game that's like No Man's Sky in a way. It's a huge, environment. It's not a universe, but there's base building, and people compare No Man's Sky base buildings to Subnautica a lot. I've had people tell me that they just like Subnautica for base building, and then they came to No Man's Sky because there was base building. People say they came, from Atlas Rises or the Pathfinder update, whatever it may be. You have all these people with different stories because each update brings in this whole other section of the No Man's Sky community, because it always offers something new for players. And I think definitely it's gotten a lot better. Comments, you don't see hate anymore. The only hate I get in comments are if people don't like the music I'm putting in my videos in the background, which honestly, I mean, is definitely better than just hating completely on the content itself.
Very occasionally I'll get one comment from someone saying, people still play this game? It's kind of funny to me now.
Yep, that's definitely a comment. Yeah, it's like, this game's still around? It's so ingrained into everybody's mind that this game was hated so much nobody would ever play it. I even go to GameStop. Like I was telling a friend, and I think I told Cobra on his subcast, when I went to GameStop to ask about the Xbox release, they didn't even know it was coming to Xbox, first of all. And then they basically made fun of the game in my face, like what kind of salesperson does that? And then tried to, convince me that the developers lied. I'm like, this was 2.5 years ago. You're still on this. Like, do you know that there's been updates? Do you know that we've gotten more than they've quote unquote promised? It's just, it was so popular to hate No Man's Sky, which, when you think about it, out of all the games that I could have covered, that anybody could have covered, what's another game that was popular to hate? There's like nothing that comes to mind as much as No Man's Sky. It was almost like just an unlucky draw. Like I just picked a game that everybody was gonna hate, and it was gonna be like, if you were cool, you hated No Man's Sky. It was almost how it is. All the cool YouTubers were hating on the game.
Yep.
Which is just, unfortunate. I mean, it's a lot better now. That's for sure. It's only gonna go up from here. Is what I say.
So my next topic, I want to talk about what is so special about No Man's Sky that's allowed us to keep making content. I mean, we're almost getting close. Well, not quite, but getting close to 2 years since the game came out, and yet it's still generating buzz. There's still people excited about it. What do you think is special about No Man's Sky that has kept it going despite its negativity and despite the fact that it's been so long that it's been out?
Yeah, so there's a lot. I think there's a lot of the most popular reason. Like back when No Man's Sky launched, before it launched, people always told me, it was their childhood fantasy or whatever it may be. They dreamed of having a game where they could just explore the universe. For me, that wasn't it. For me as a kid, I was never into sci-fi. I was into like medieval fantasy. That was like my genre. I wasn't into sci-fi. And then what changed for me was I played a game series called Mass Effect, which is my favorite game series ever story-wise, and instantly changed my mind. And now I'm 100% sci-fi. And people said, this was their childhood fantasy, a game like this, which is what I find a lot of people still playing it is something like that. But then a lot of people I've met as well are my age play, so like around 20, 22, whatever it may be. And for them, there's so many different things. Like I hear people who just got excited for it based on just the ship combat. And I think that was something that No Man's Sky sold really well, was just play your way. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to like everything. The game's not going to force you to play anything you don't want to play. And when I first saw the trailer, for me, the exploration was what I wanted. Something I tell people all the time, for me, in games I like spontaneity. So any game that you can play for endless hours and experience it in a different way each time. And those games I like to play. And those genres span, those games span across all genres. No Man's Sky is a game like that. You can walk around planets for ages and ages and ages, and you can make content for ages and ages, and it will never get the same because you always see different things. Procedural generation works wonders that way. Another game like that spontaneity is Rocket League. It's completely different, but it's the same. No game is the same. There's always new things happening. So that is like a feature I look forward for in games a lot. And the fact that No Man's Sky was completely different, there's nothing like No Man's Sky, and that's what we said before launch, and there still is nothing like No Man's Sky. 18 quintillion planets, when they said that, just the scale of the game, I think, brought a lot of people to the game. Because, I looked up all these, like 18 quintillion is only a number that humans use because it's how we measure the amount of grains of sand on the Earth. Like that's insane. 18 quintillion planets is more planets than species of insects on the Earth. Like this,
Yep.
The scale is so cool. It's such a cool feature. And I've heard people tell me stories where when they first saw the galactic map in the trailer, that's what brought them to the game, because that really, really showed how big the game is. One of my favorite trailers. I get chills just thinking about it because it's so eye-opening. Like you could say 18 quintillion planets, but nobody truly understands. They're planet-sized planets, as they always like to say.
Yep.
Planet-sized planets. You can walk around for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think that freedom is really what people fell for. The freedom to do what you want, the freedom to walk around planets, the freedom to be the explorer, the adventurer you want, to be a trader, or to combat with spaceships, to be a miner, or whatever it may be. I think the freedom is why a lot of people still play it and still stay with the game, and then also the community, because it is heavily community based, which I think it's great. I think a good community is what keeps games going, and that is definitely true with No Man's Sky. If there wasn't a community, I sincerely doubt Hello Games would still be making updates. for it, and I think the community and the freedom really are two big factors.
Yep. For me, it definitely wasn't that it was sci-fi, because before I played No Man's Sky, to me, a sci-fi game was like first-person shooter, dystopian, dark, mutated, horrible monsters, things like that. And Sean Murray mentioned that they weren't trying to make that kind of sci-fi, which is so prevalent, still is prevalent for most games, that they wanted a bright 1960s, 1970s kind of sci-fi with just amazing beauty, weird technology, and everything like that. For me, what really drew me was, like you said, the freedom, because I'm the kind of person, if I play a game like Skyrim or another Elder Scroll game, I will walk all the way across the world, and then when I bump up against an invisible wall, I'll like try to jump like over the mountain and try to see if there's actually something still over there. I hate invisible walls in any game, because I think that if it's going to be really immersive, it needs to be like the real world, that you can just keep walking and never stop. And I had never experienced that before. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think any game would ever be able to be limitless. I always thought there would always be the invisible walls, there'd always be the end of the map, and then you run into something. And then I played No Man's Sky, and when I first started, I was like, okay, so I'm on this weird planet, where does it end? Where does it stop? Is this just a small little canyon that I'm stuck in? And then I realized that I really could just keep walking forever and never stop. That was the first mind-blowing moment for me. It's like, I finally found it. I finally found a game that is never going to have an invisible wall that's going to stop me. So that was like the biggest straw for me. But I want to talk about No Man's Sky YouTubers. Now there's a lot of No Man's Sky YouTubers out there now, and each of them has their own kind of style. There's Let's Players, and I would say that I'm more of a Let's Player as far as No Man's Sky does. I kind of cover news occasionally, especially with Waking Titan and all that, but for the most part, I'm mostly just like, my base showcases are basically like Minecraft Let's Plays where people show off their build and stuff like that, except I'm showing off other people's builds. And then of course there's L Plays. He's probably one of the most, well, I wouldn't say, well, of the Let's Players of No Man's Sky, L Plays is like the best known of that category. Cobra, of course, has the most subscribers, but I wouldn't really call him a Let's Player. He's more of the news and rumors kind of category. And then there's like fan trailer makers, which, as far as I know, there's mainly just Eric Guy 2 and Jordan 276. They're like the two main guys that I know of that make No Man's Sky fan trailers on a regular basis. They've made hundreds each of them. And then there's, the news and rumors category, which you might disagree with this, but I would argue that you're kind of more the news and rumors category. You do some Let's Playing, and your time-lapse videos I would kind of call a fan trailer. But I think, what would you say? Would you say the majority of your videos are kind of news and rumors, or not?
Yeah, I would say I fit under that category, and it wasn't meant to be like that. When it started out, obviously that was the only thing I could be, was news and rumors, because the game wasn't out. But when the game released, I wanted to do a series of me playing, a series of me, exploring and all that. But where I lived at the time, when the game came out, my PC at the time, my internet at the time, all of it was terrible. It took me to even upload a 10-minute video, took like 6 hours because I had such bad internet. And to make like a video Let's Play in the way I wanted to, it was almost too much. It was just so I kept to the shorter kind of news related videos for that point. And then when I got to the point to make Let's Plays, what it did was I just wanted to play the game without having to make a video. That was my thing. I just wanted, after waiting so long, when I would go to record and play, I felt like I was ruining the experience for myself because I had waited so long that I was too focused. I wasn't focused on playing more than commentating, or doing something cool rather than just exploring. So I stopped doing Let's Plays because I didn't think creation-wise it was exciting for me, because you know, a lot of people when they do Let's Plays, or like, you know, like L Plays, I haven't watched an L Plays Let's Play video in a while. But when you used to watch them, it's just like, if there's no editing. Like for me, I love the editing process, which is weird to say because a lot of times in the news and rumors video, it's just me talking and I don't edit much. But with Let's Plays, it doesn't seem like there's any work that I'm putting into the video because I'm just playing it and talking, and then just uploading it. And I like to have a lot of control over what I'm putting out as far as editing goes. And I think really what killed it for me, Let's Play wise, was in the beginning when I forced myself to record me playing. It just ruined my experience from the get-go because I had been waiting so long to play this game that I was forcing myself to make videos of me playing it when I just wanted to experience. I just wanted to sit in my room in silence, you know, with all the lights off, and just really fall into the universe rather than have to worry about commentating or, you know, doing things that people wanted to see. So I think I definitely fall under the news and rumors, but I like to do videos that other people haven't done. So like time lapses, or I don't even know how I ended up doing the first time lapse. I don't know how that came to mind. I don't know if I saw one and I was like, hey, that looks cool, let me try it. And then time lapses that I do now, I love doing. I love making them because, you know, I'm moving during them, which, I mean, it's not like a genius idea. It's just something I thought of. I was like, hey, what if I move like 2 centimeters a second and then speed it up by like 1200%, so it looks like I'm walking at regular speed, but time is going by very fast. And then that caught on really well, and that allows me to edit the actual time lapses and actually put work into them, because before, when I wanted to make a time lapse, I just found a planet, found a cool shot, set down my controller, walked away as I recorded for 30 minutes, came back, and then just sped it up. There was nothing for me to do. I didn't even have to sit at the screen because it was all creative mode and I just had to stand still. The new time lapses allow me to edit the videos and actually put work into them. And I've really been loving messing with music and putting different music tracks that I never would have thought I would use. I was always scared to put music in my videos that wasn't 65 Days or No Man's Sky, because I didn't know how people would react to like the music I enjoy, or that I think fit with No Man's Sky videos. So I think, yeah, news and rumors is something I love. The news, I love the speculation, the rumors, and just sitting down without a script and just talking. Like sometimes I have bullet points, but you know, I always say the same thing. Back when I started my channel, I don't write scripts for videos because I consider the people who follow me my friends, and I don't write scripts in real life to talk to my friends. So that's kind of where I come from, like not writing scripts. But like I said about different videos, I like making funny videos, and sometimes I like to put that, or I have a funny personality, I think, so sometimes I like to put that into my channel, and it really surprises people. I think, like, that's the first one I ever did was Ways to Die in No Man's Sky, which was like a very positive themed video. There was like happy music, and it was just me going through, before the game came out, the ways I thought that would be possible to die in the game. And that was the first weird video I did. And then I've got like the base, when the base building came out, I just built like this weird theme park almost of weird building pieces and like glitches when you could build things in the ground and like angles that weren't supposed to happen. And I called it JustJarrod Planet of Curiosities, and I wrote a script for that. It's this weird, funny video that was pretty cringy, but I thought it was hilarious. And then now I'm doing the super in-depth, non-sarcastic look at Waking Titan
Yeah.
videos, which people love the first one, which that's really cool because that took probably the most work I've ever put into a first video, and I have the second one, script is done.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be, hopefully I could work on editing that today. But I want to do that kind of video. It started with Waking Titan, and it actually started on April Fools. A lot of people thought it was a joke. It is a joke, but it wasn't for April Fools. It just ended up being on that day. It's something I want to do, but right now it's mainly focused on Waking Titan. Eventually I'll just like kind of talk about No Man's Sky in those videos, like more in depth rather than just Waking Titan. But Waking Titan's a very good target for, I guess, sarcasm and stuff like that, because it's very confusing for a lot of people, including myself at times. But yeah, so like you said, news and rumors, but I like to do, I don't know, weird stuff.
Yep. And I think we're running a little short on time because I can only record up to an hour video. There's a few more topics I'd like to cover, but I think we'll cover them in another video right after this. So if it's all right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video so we don't run out of time, and we will record the next video right after this, and they'll just be two separate videos. So I want to thank JustJarrod for coming onto the show, or whatever you want to call it, doing this video with me. And there should be another video of this uploaded like the next day after this. So for now, I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me and JustJarrod for a day, and we'll catch you on the next video.